USCHO.com. This is the USCHO Spotlight, a weekly podcast from U.S. College Hockey Online at USCHO.com, featuring conversations with college hockey coaches and players and journalists who cover the sport.
Welcome to USCHO Spotlight for Tuesday, February 26th. I'm Ed Trefzger alongside Jim Connelly. This episode is sponsored by the NCAA Frozen Four, April 11th and 13th at KeyBank Center in Buffalo. Visit ncaa.com/Frozen4. Well, it's been a great season already, especially with a second in a row Beanpot Championship for Northeastern.
And we are now joined by the head coach of that Northeastern team, and that is Jim Madigan. And Jim, I'm going to just fill in the audience that hasn't heard from you of late, or really hasn't maybe heard from you much this season. Everybody thought this was the rebuilding year, and suddenly your team, 21 wins, you're right in position, 5 straight wins coming down the stretch here, another Beanpot title. There's a lot of accolades for this team. What has made this team what it is, especially when you consider what is not here from last season?
Well, first, Jim, we're still a work in progress. I think as a coaching staff and as a group of players, we understand that. And, we're as good as our next game. And, our kids have worked really hard. They give us an effort each and every day in practice in the games. But, for us to win and be successful, we really have to outwork the opposition. We don't have that fast striking team that we might have had last year, and that's fine. But we're still getting better. Our group still realizes we still need to get better, for us to accomplish, the goals that we set out for this year. And, the effort has been, as I said, for most of the year, and we just got to keep getting better in certain areas of our game so that we can, reach the pinnacle at the end of the season. But, our focus is just on Boston College coming up on Friday night.
Your team obviously captures a Beanpot a few weeks ago. You've put some wins together here down the stretch. What do you feel at this point when you look at the things that are really working for you are working well?
We've been getting very good goaltending. Caden Primo has been very good in nets. We've been somewhat solid in our own zone, and this past weekend we got some goals. We haven't been scoring as much as we'd like to, and so we've been in a lot of close games, and we've been finding ways to win those close, tight checking game. Vermont 2 weekends ago, both games were for the most part 1-goal games. So we're comfortable in those 1-goal games. And earlier in the month of January, we weren't winning those games and those close 1-goal games, and so we got back on the right track and just being a little more confident, being a little more tighter in our own zone. But we still need to get better in that area. And the good news is our kids know that too. Our players know we've got to get better. That we haven't matured as a team yet. We're still a work in progress, and our team's still evolving. But those are things that when we're playing well, those are things that we're doing well when we're winning.
I want to get into some of the individual players on your team, and there's a lot. If I sat here and actually asked you about all I wanted to, it would probably take the entire 15 minutes. But I'll start with Jeremy Davies. On defense, not just a defenseman. He obviously gets very much involved in the offense. He currently is leading your team in points with 31 points, 23 assists. Seems to be all over the ice every single night.
Yeah, no, he's an on-ice leader for us, and Jeremy's a young man who wants to be a difference maker out there. He's smart, he's intelligent, he's highly skilled, and he wants the puck on the stick. And when players want the puck on their stick and they're good, then you want him to make plays, and that's what he's doing for us. And it hasn't taken away from his defensive game. He's breaking us out of our own zone. He's logging a lot of minutes. He's playing in every situation, and our guys respect Jeremy as our on-ice leader, and he wants to carry, the ball in that regard and be a difference maker. And, he was that, on Saturday night and scoring the first goal. And, he was that on Friday night and getting first goal for us in the power play. And, he had, I think, 3 over this weekend. And he's been solid all season long for us. And, his stats are what jumps out at everyone, but he's very good defensively in his own zone.
Last season, I think early on we saw Zach Solo as a rookie kind of come in and look like he might be a big offensive threat, and he obviously played well. But I think when you had the talent you had last year, he maybe had to take a bit of a backseat. This season leads the team in goals with 14. It seems that he is understanding that he can play at this level and can enjoy himself playing at this level.
And last year he got off to a good start, and then he kind of, he was solid the second half of the season last year, but kind of hit a little bit of a wall, like a lot of freshmen do, just because of the length of the season and the daily grind and the grind of the season. And this year he came back and he's in tremendous shape. He wants to be one of our top 6 forwards. He is one of our top 6 forwards. He wants that responsibility. Again, a guy who plays in all situations, and he's really become a real good two-way centerationman for us. He's really smart, positionally sound, and as evident in 14 goals, as you talked about, leads our team in scoring. He's hit a lot of crossbars and posts this year, also, and those numbers could be even a little bit more. And he's worked hard on his game, and it's important for him to have team success. It's important for him to have individual success, and he's doing a real good job. And thrilled to how his game has evolved and where his game is at right now. And and he's worked on his scheme, so he's a little bit quicker off the mark right now. And he was always a pass first type of guy. Now he's looking to take the shot more, and 14 goals speaks to that.
I'll give you one more player before I turn it over to Ed, and this is a guy you've already mentioned. And I'm going to steal a line that Nate Lehman of Providence used when he had John Gillies. He used to say he'd make one huge save a night, and that would make him a goal-a-game scorer. That's Caden Primo. He feels like one of those goaltenders that can stop one shot that you just don't see him stopping every night, and that gives you, in essence, one extra goal to play with because it didn't go in the net. How has he just kind of been a quiet back-end leader on this team?
Well, you just used the word. He's a quiet personality and a quiet yet very confident young man who goes about his work in a kind of a professional mannerism, and that's not a surprise, probably given the pedigree he comes from his dad. But he gives us a chance to win every single night. And, what's impressive about Caden is he works his rear end off every day in practice. He wants to get better in practice each and every day. So he's not given up on any goal situation in practice. And so that's when he gets to a game situation, it comes natural to him. And, he's grown over the last year and a half where he's more, talkative. And, last year's team, you had, 3 pretty influential players in Cadet, Secure and Stevens, and our team took its cue from those 3. This year, that's more spread out. Davies and Williams and some of our leadership is more spread out this year, which is great. But he's emerged as an on-ice leader, and in the way he goes about his daily business and preparing for practice, preparing for games, that people look up to, and as I said, he gives us a chance to win every night because we have a lot of confidence in him. He's got confidence in our group. And there's nothing more than when you have confidence in your goal, you can just go and play the game. You're not playing it, on eggshells, worried about what's going to happen when the puck comes in your own zone. He gives us, in evidence, he's on Friday night. He gives a chance to win. He made 3 big saves in the first period, able to hold UNH to 1. And we came out of the first period tied 1-1 and allowed us to, as we got our legs going in the second, third, his play allowed us to win that game.
We'll have more with Jim Madigan in just a moment. First, a word from our sponsor, the NCAA Frozen Four, April 11th and 13th at KeyBank Center in Buffalo.
Speed and precision, unrelenting power. This trophy is not given, it must be earned. The 2019 NCAA Frozen Four, April 11th and 13th at KeyBank Center in Buffalo.
With a shot. Saved by Morris. Takes the shot.
Visit ncaa.com/Frozen4 and get your tickets today.
We're talking with Northeastern head coach Jim Madigan. We've been talking about players on your team now. There's a lot of work that goes into building a team that hits the ice now. That goes back a few years, watching these guys develop. Maybe folks don't realize how much goes into recruiting, but what sort of a process is it to get to a team now? How far back are you looking at players? How much work goes into it for you and your staff? And how many players do you need to be looking at to put together a team?
Well, the way recruiting is, it was always competitive, but it's rolled itself back to, you're looking at, ninth grade, student athletes, and you can't communicate with them, but you can certainly watch them. And that's what we're doing. So you're looking at players that, you're running the gamut from players who are, basically 2003 births up to players who are, 1998 births right now, that might have, who are so-called late bloomers that can come in and have an impact on your program next year. So the lifeline to any program is the recruiting process. You need, for you to be a good team, you need to recruit real good student athletes who are committed, dedicated, high-end character, who can help your university, your program, be successful. And that's, we got to make sure they're going to be successful in the classroom, in the community, and in the rink. And so it's a process. It's an ongoing process. I mean, we're talking about recruiting each and every day, and recruiting in each and every week, And, Caden Primo is a good example. I mean, we had recruited him, when he was just starting the 10th grade, and he ends up on your campus, 3 years later, and you see the finished, he's not a finished product right now, but you see the product when it gets to your campus, and, makes all of that hard work and time and effort that you did recruiting, makes it worthwhile, because you see the impact he has, not just not from a hockey perspective, but from an academic and as well as a social perspective. And so it's integral to any program success, and certainly to Northeastern success, that the recruiting is done at a high level, and we attract high quality young men with character who can be part of Northeastern and want to be part of Northeastern University.
Right now, you've got about 10 players on your roster from Massachusetts and probably half your roster from New England. Yet you've got to compete with a lot of Hockey East schools all very close by. What's it like to attract a player from Massachusetts when there's so many options in your league right near there?
Yeah, and, we take a lot of pride in the fact that we've been able to shop in our backyard. And, I played at Northeastern in the early 80s and recruited here in the early 80s, mid-80s, late 80s to the early 90s. And, it was difficult to attract the top quality student athletes, to Northeastern, for a few reasons. With the trajectory of the institution over the last 15 years, the academic transformation, the physical transformation, the hockey program, that transformation from Greg Cronin, who did a great job here, and I came in after Greg, and he got it going with his staff, and I think that our staff's been able to take the ball and then continue running with it. We've been able to attract a high-end quality student athlete from Massachusetts and from New England. And back in the day, when I was playing and coaching, we didn't have as many Mass kids as young men. We do have as many, and I would say that we probably have as many. Last year we had as many Mass kids on scholarship as BU and BC did put together. And people used to always say Northeastern just a school that recruits Canadian kids, and which I didn't apologize for, being Canadian myself. But it's nice that we can shop in our backyard, and when we can get a Ryan Shea and Adam Godet and a Lincoln Griffin and players of Matt Philippe, players of that high-end caliber and quality, then we'll continue shopping in our backyard. And you look at New England, Tyler Madden was a freshman with us, and who played at Avon, and we've got Jordan Harris, and from Haverhill, Mass, and those are quality young men that I think any program will want, and we're fortunate that we're able to attract them to Northeastern.
You mentioned Greg Cronin and your early couple of seasons at Northeastern, and I did want to ask about that. You're going to have your sixth season at 500 or above in a row, but there were a couple of more difficult seasons at the beginning of your tenure behind the bench. What was that like to start turning things around a bit and building to where you are now?
You think back in those 2 years, and it seems like it was an eternity ago, and we had real good young men and players, but I think anytime there's a transition within an organization, whether it be in the hockey business or in any industry for that matter, there's a period of adjustment, and transition goes with that. And so we went through that transition. When Greg had departed, to go to the Toronto Maple Leafs, both assistants also left at that time. Albie O'Connell went and went to be an assistant at Harvard, and Sebastian LaPlante went to the pro game. So, we didn't have the continuity with the recruits, and so we lost a couple of recruits at that point who wanted to look at other opportunities, and that's fine, and no one holds bears any ill will that way. But so we got behind the eight ball because we started as a staff on August 1st as the kids were coming in a month later, and so it takes you a little bit, and we saw. I think we got through it as best we could with some of the changes, and then we and it wasn't so much we got players who were our players, because the players we came into who were part of the program were Northeastern players, and we were Northeastern coaches, so that we were all part of the same process and want to work together. But you go through that transition, and I think we came out better for it. After a couple of years, in that third year, we had 19 wins, and a lot of those young men who helped us get to 19 wins were with us right from the first day that we started as a new coaching staff together. So that made us feel good that they helped turn the tide the right way, and then we've been able to continue building on that. And but we're still not satisfied. There's still a lot more for us to accomplish, both this year, and in the future. Yes, we might have won a couple Bean Pots in the Hockey East and some NCAA appearances, but ultimately you want to win the NCAA tournament, and we haven't done that yet. So we're still striving towards that.
This is USCHO Spotlight. We are talking with Northeastern head coach Jim Madigan. And Jim, I look at the numbers now in this senior class. Impressive, to say the least. 4 seasons above 500. 3 are going to be in the 20 wins. Two NCAA tournament appearances, a regular season title, 2 Bean Pots. And then you look at the names of the seniors, and they're maybe not the standout guys, but the names everybody recognizes: Pecoraro, Griffin, Hawkins, Eric Williams, all the way down to Ryan Ruck, who as a freshman, he had to do some carrying himself when he was thrust into the starting role, and did a great job for you. What has this senior class meant to becoming, to building Northeastern and kind of becoming a senior class that people can look up to for a long time?
Yeah, they've already established, the most wins out of any class. I think they're at 81 or maybe 82 at this point. So that success that you just talked about has been there. And for me, and we're still counting, because there's still a lot of hockey left. And they came in on the backs of a Josh Manson and a Kevin Waugh and a John Stevens and a Matt Benning and Zach Aston-Reese, who started to lay that groundwork for our program. And they learned from those young men. And what's nice is that this group of seniors is now continuing to pass that down to, the freshmen, the sophomores, and the juniors in this year's team. And so we're creating that passing of the torch, which you want to always have happen. And you'll make sure that the next class is the most successful class. So the class that graduated last year, they were all for this year's class being the best class. And this year's class, when they graduate, they're going to help next year's class be hopefully the most successful. So, and that's what you want to have. And, each class can breed success and then pass it on, and passing the torch is important. But, this group has worked hard. They've been, winning has been important. They've been, good citizens and good students, and have represented Northeastern very well over the 3.5 years that they've been here.
You kind of mentioned it earlier, and I'll close with this weekend at Boston College, 2 games, only 2 weeks left in your league season, 3 games to play. BC starts on Friday at Boston College. They'll come home on Saturday night. There's so much jockeying for position going on right now in Hockey East. Just talk a little bit about this series and the importance it brings for your program. Yeah,
it's the only thing that's important. Everything we just chatted about, is not important. We can talk about that when the season's over. What's most important is Friday night against Boston College. It's most important because it's our next game, but it's a big game. And as you said, we can end up from 2 to 7. Everyone's jockeying for playoff positioning and seeding, and so is it Northeastern. hey, we don't play well, we could go from second place, which is where right now, down to sixth place or fifth place or whatever it is. So we know the importance of this game, and we know the importance of Boston College. I mean, Boston College, throw out the record. Their record isn't indicative of them as a team. We know how good they are. We played them, a couple of weeks ago. They're highly skilled. They've got very good goaltending. They've got a good back end. They're very well coached. They're structured. This is a very good team. This is a seventh place team that we're playing. And what's worse is, they're coming in with some urgency and desperation. And that's the last thing you want to do is give any Boston College team, more to play for, more urgency or desperation. And we're all playing with that. Certainly Northeastern's playing with that, with urgency, because we understand the importance of the game, and winning it, helps us, stay at where we're at in second place. So it's a huge weekend, and our focus is just on Friday night.
Well, Jimmy, it is the best time of year. The end of the hockey season, teams always seem to play their best, and we look forward to a couple of great games between your Huskies and the Boston College Eagles this weekend. Jim, I appreciate your time, and good luck down the stretch here.
Jim and Ed, appreciate you having me on. Take care, guys.
Jim, over the past 5 seasons, Jim Madigan has put together some really good success at Northeastern.
And he's done so in so many different ways. You think of their Hockey's championship, which is going back 4 years, and that was a team that had one win around Thanksgiving, and they found a way to turn things around, and they played very well down the stretch. Last year's team obviously had some really all-star talent. Obviously, Adam Gaudette winning the Hobey Baker. That's a really big moment for the program, and they did some good things. They left a lot of unfinished business on the table. And then, as we talked about, I thought this season might not have been the season that it currently is. And you sometimes look at it and say, hey, rebuilding years are tough. They're really difficult. But that team has found a way to pull things together, and they're playing their best hockey, it seems, right down the stretch. And as a coach, that's really all you can ask.
I guess it's a lesson of building a season and building a team around the players you have, not the ones you used to have.
Yeah, and I do give Jim Madigan a lot of credit for that, is the fact that from day one, he's not been talking about what he lost and the players that aren't here. He's been talking about the players that are here and the players that are in the locker room and what they can accomplish and now what they have accomplished. And I would not want to play this team in the postseason. I think they're a very scary team. Who knows where they end up in Hockey East when all is said and done. But if they get home ice, that's a tough building to play in. If they get to the Garden, they're a tough tournament team. They could be one of the tougher outs in the postseason.
Well, that'll do it for USCHO Spotlight. For Jim Connelly, I'm Ed Trefzger, and we'll catch you next time.
This has been the USCHO Spotlight, a production of U.S. College Hockey Online. Visit uscho.com/podcasts to listen or subscribe.